Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to the eastern wing of the Stink Bug Works. This morning, we're looking at motors and gears. As you recall, this unit is what powers the SK DaddleJet. And I put on these two, what are essentially Speed 300 motors. And the problem I'm facing is these have darn near as much power as the smaller 2030 motors that were in here. Now this gearbox was originally built for these motors, but over time I've run different motors in it, and I've wound up hogging out the smile cuts here, and you notice I'm having to use a washer here on the nut to hold it in. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. The object of the SK DaddleJet is not to make it go so fast it's hard to drive. The object of the SK DaddleJet is just to have it zip around and look kind of cool. So I decided to rethink this, and here's my plan. This plate to which the motors and the front bearing mount is just a single piece of angle aluminum, and it's attached to the base plate with screws, and this is the bottom end of the screws sticking out at you. You know, the screws, there it is. You can see it under there and under there. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take off this front mounting plate and throw it away. Now, this front mounting plate was the whole reason behind doing this entire project. Was this plate, but now I'm going to throw it away, and I'm going to use these two. Now, these are pretty high kV motors. I don't recall what they are, but they're not stupid high. They're like 3,000 RPM per volt, 4,000 RPM per volt. And so this low ratio, this is a 21 and a 55, so that's 2 point something to 1. Well, the reason I did that is the motors had to clear this bearing here. You know, there had to be some clearance. Well, these motors with flat sides, I can get much closer together and still clear the bearing. And that way, I can use a smaller gear here, and that will take this smile cut and move it this way. I can use a smaller bracket here. I can make everything slightly smaller by using these smaller motors. And let's be real honest, folks. This is probably more than enough power to have that little thing buzz around the lake and look cool. So I am going to make a new mounting plate. I'll just take this entire one off, and I'm not going to throw it away. I'll just set it aside with these motors still attached. You know, so that will be my plan. I'm going to start today. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Clearances and distances are critical, but then you have this smile cut down here that allows, you know, flexibility, but you have to have the basic overall layout. And the basic overall layout is going to be, you do up some drawings, and gears have what's called the pitch diameter, and it's essentially where the gears touch each other. If this gear were a wheel and this gear were a wheel, where those wheels touched, you know, that would be pitch diameter. The actual diameter is slightly larger because, you know, the tooth goes into the tooth. So you can find pitch diameters online everywhere. So you find the pitch diameters and you can draw up a drawing of where this motor goes, where this motor goes, and what kind of gears and gear ratios you can create. So back to gear ratios. This is, how many teeth are those? It probably says, is that 23 or 22? It's 23. Okay, so 23 into 55, that's like 2.2, 2.1 to 1. So I might gear these at like 1 3/4 to 1. So I dropped this spur gear down and I can move the motors closer together. So that's going to be my project today. I'm not going to be working in the shop. What I'm going to be doing is working upstairs with calipers, measuring motors and, you know, bolt spacings and so forth, and drawing up in AutoCAD the relationship between all the holes. Once I have that, stand by. Once I have that, rather than printing a template, which is always off by a little bit, I'll simply print out coordinates for all the holes, go over to my mill that now has a DRO on it, and I can just go to all these holes and punch all the holes precisely. And that's going to be exactly what I do on this boat if Steve ever ships me those motors. So that's my plan. I'm going to do some designing. I'll make a new front plate for this. I'll have smaller motors, a different gear ratio, and away we go. What do you think? Until next time, boys and girls, jet out.